You are watching UK Star TV.
My dear fellows, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Imtiaz Gulyanvi and you are watching UK Star TV. 24th February 2023 was a historical day for the people of Swindon when Mayor of London, Honourable Sadiq Khan visited Swindon. This function was organised by Swindon Labour Party along with all Muslim community. The venue was Al Habib Islamic Centre. Mayor of Swindon, Abdul Amin, MP Labour candidate Heidi Alexander, Abdul Latif, Nawaz Khan, Mahmood Ahmad, Akbar Khan, Ishaq Mughal, Mustafa Sahib, Shahid Naqshbandi, Waleed Mia, Chaudhry Hamid, Raja Jahangir, Kashif Khan, Zafran Raja, Yaqub Khokhar, Ibrar Qadri, Atif Sahib, Raja Taifur, Khalid Chaudhry, Usman Siddiq, Imtiaz Gulyanvi, and so many other people welcome the honorable guest. The coverage of this historical event I have divided in three parts. In part 1 is consist of video report. Part 2 you can see the interviews of valuable personalities. And in part 3 I have included all the pictures. These all three parts you can see on UK Star TV.
And Mr. Mughal is the largest leader in the community. Mr. Mahmood Ahmad is chairman of Al-Amir.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Living in Swindon for the last 60 years.
Okay.
How about the first? Pakistani Muslim in Swindon.
All right.
That's my qualification.
Mr. Kinab Ali, ex-mayor.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, good to see you.
And other Khatib, Sayyid
Good to meet you.
Syed Sahib, and Mr. Akbar Khan.
Good to see you.
He's presenting
One part to another.
So two Khan we are.
Two parts better than one.
Mr. Shahid Ali Khan.
Awesome.
Sufi. Please do come. If you want to leave the shoulder.
Sure.
Yeah. In 3 minutes.
Okay.
You came from big place and we are a small town. So we will show you our.
It's great. I'm very pleased to be here.
Yeah, please. This is our prayer hall. Main prayer hall.
Yeah.
We have got the same prayer hall upstairs for the ladies.
Fantastic.
Wow. Only for ladies.
Beautiful.
The same, almost same by yeah. So we have got other funeral arrangements.
Do you feel here is also in the
Yes. And mashallah, there are now 4 big mosques and another 2 places, West Swindon and North Swindon, Jummah prayers taking place there as well. And we are pleased from Londoners, they are selling their property, they are coming to Swindon.
Yeah. You're pleased. I'm distant.
So
One's here. Yeah.
lot of people. We are proud of our
Yeah, so
She came back and inshallah she will win.
God willing.
Both will win, inshallah. There's both gap and good gap.
It's a nice player, even honor for us that you are here.
Oh, I see.
Very special.
Highly invited me. It's great. Let's take some photographs over here with the. Some more. Yeah. So, is it one Juma prayer or how many Juma prayers?
One Juma prayer, but ladies
Must be very busy.
very good. The one thing we have got with Al Habib Center is that we have got parking place, lot of parking place. And these days, every household have at least
We call it gold dust.
three, otherwise definitely two cars. So therefore, we are lucky enough for Tarawih and Juma prayer. So we have got our own approximately 20 car park, our own, belong to left and right side.
Did you do madrasa as well?
Yeah, in the evening, but due to the, honestly speaking, due to COVID-19, it turned down. Online people went and it was hard to bring them. One sponsor and other two, and they are free as well for us.
More than 100 cars.
Come here. And all 5 prayers you have Juma prayer?
Friday getting as well.
Actually, we have Alhamdulillah, we have here 4 mosques and 4 masjids here in Swindon, and almost 6 places where the Juma prayer is being performed here. One is Al Habib, one is Broad Street Masjid, one is Shah Jalal Masjid, one is
Turkish one Saudi Hub as well, North Swindon.
and Alhamdulillah, we have enough community here, Muslim community, and all are very religious.
I moved to Swindon in 1969. My first job was to become a shop steward. I joined the Labour
Which
Party.
trade union was that? Which trade union was this? Which shop steward for which trade union?
For which Transport General Board. So I joined the union, and then I was the first shop steward in Swindon. I joined the Labour Party, and since 1969, I'm a Labour member.
Fantastic.
I'm a worker, but I didn't become a councillor because of my commitment.
Sure.
That's not fantastic. But we wanted him to be a comfortable. We wanted if he can not. I think, and all of them, they're all probably laborers. So far I know. I don't think anybody will say, here he's a Tory, here he's not. I don't think anyone is here.
Let me finish what I started. Let me finish. Swindon was an industrial town, and this was always a labor. And we were confident that labor will always stay in Swindon. But unfortunately, when the expansion started, west and north, then the people moved from Reading, Slough.
Okay, I will represent Al Habib Masjid as well. And could I please ask you to... I belong to SPA, Swindon Pakistan Association, where our logo is unity, faith and discipline for our human generation.
Let's do a selfie. Come on. Do a selfie. Do a selfie. Turn around. Better have yourself.
My elder one is big fan of you.
Go ahead. Come on.
I want to be a Sadakhani.
He's a writer as well, mashallah. Author of 8 books. बाकी आहिस्ता से चले अपने अपने सीटों में We'll have another photo. We'll have another photo session outside.
It's huge, isn't it?
You can take those off.
Yeah, I'm going to take mine off when we get here.
When he read your stories, he must be impressed because I'm not sure.
Okay. All the best people out. Stop, sister.
Get out of my way.
I'll take it.
Yeah, please. Please, okay. And also, please. Your member.
Mayor of Swindon, Mayor of London, Mr. Sadiq Khan, Mayor of Swindon, Mr. Abdul It gave me a great pleasure to welcome you all here in this hall, for the Islamic Center. Thank you for taking time for your busy schedule. It is honor for the Swindon Muslim community for you to visit us. We are very proud of your political achievement. You are a role model for the Muslim community here in Great Britain. Our Islamic Center provides Islamic education to the local youth and also act as a social center for many youth activities. We also provide wedding and funeral activities as well as counseling to young teenagers. This center is a community hub and an outstanding meeting place for all members of the community. Thank you. Now I request Mr. Shah to please start the Quran, the recitation of Quran, some few verses from there.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Before I'm going to start the recitation of the Quran, I would like to very warm welcome Mr. Mayor Sadiq Khan, mashallah, and it is a great honor for us as well in Al Habib Social Hall on the behalf of Al Habib Menu Committee. I would like all of you who participated here this evening, thanks a lot. So please listen attentively. I'm going to very short passage from the Holy Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر صدق الله العظيم.
Salam alaikum. My name is Heidi Alexander and I'm the Labour Party's parliamentary candidate for South Swindon. That means that when the next general election happens, I will be standing to be the Member of Parliament for South Swindon, and I'm really delighted to be here today with you all, but also with Will Stone, who is the Labour Party's parliamentary candidate for North Swindon. I know that I speak on behalf of both of us when I say we want to be a good friend to the Muslim community in Swindon, and we want to work with you to improve your lives, the lives of your children and your grandchildren, and to build a town in Swindon that we can all be proud of. I have a few responsibilities today before we move to the other speeches. I would just like to set out to you what the programme for this evening is going to be, and I'd like to say a few words of introduction about myself as well. It is a real honour for me to welcome my friend and former boss, the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, to Swindon. I worked with Sadiq for 3.5 years as his deputy, and as I've told many of you when I have been to your mosques in the last few months, it really was the honour of my life for Sadiq to put his faith in me and ask me to be his deputy. So I just want to run through the programme. We've got Sadiq here until 6:30, and we'll make sure that we try and finish by about 6:15 in terms of speeches, so that all of you can say hello personally. After I have spoken, I will ask Mr. Abdul Latif from the Al Habib Centre to say a few words. Then Councillor Abdul Amin, the Mayor of Swindon, will also speak. Then we will hear from Sadiq himself, and we'll have the opportunity to ask some questions, and we will close with a short prayer. I also wanted to say that whilst the Al Habib Centre is kindly hosting us this evening, this event has been a collaborative effort between all of the mosques in Swindon, and I would like to say thank you to everyone who has joined us as representatives of those mosques and communities today. So from Shah Jalal, the Manchester Road Mosque, we have Valid Mia. From the Broad Street Mosque, Mr. Murgol and Mr. Akbar Khan. From the North Swindon Mosque, Mr. Shahid Khan. We have also been helped by the Swindon Pakistan Association in organising the event tonight. And whilst Shahid Khan was involved, he's in Pakistan this evening and so could not be with us. And finally, last but not least, to Mustafa Dian from the Beatrice Street Mosque, which, as you will all know, is where our fantastic Turkish community in Swindon worship. I did want to say at this stage that I would like, on behalf of the Labour Party in Swindon, to express my deepest condolences to those who have lost family and friends in the devastating earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. And I would like to also express my solidarity to those who are still suffering, and my support in your fundraising efforts and in the relief efforts that I know the Muslim community in Swindon, irrespective of your own individual heritage, be that Bangladeshi or Pakistani or Turkish, everyone has come together to help fundraise, and that was very evident in the event that I was at the weekend at the Beatrice Street Mosque, where so many of the sisters had organised fabulous food in order to raise money for those in Turkey. As you will all know, when I have visited your mosques over the last few months, I have told you a little bit about myself and why I'd like to be the Member of Parliament for South Swindon. I won't repeat everything that I have
Very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We warmly welcome to all honorable guests at our center, and especially all Swindon Muslim leadership is here tonight. And I won't take more than 2-3 minutes of yours, and I must mention a few points. As we understand how our country has suffered from recent events and exit from European Union, Britain certainly needs stronger leadership, and we can see leadership in our coming party, Labour Party, and we should we should support them. It is our strong wish that our future elected representatives push a law against insulting the religion, holy prophets, Jews, Christian, Islam, and holy books. Our full support will be with you, such as law will have far-reaching benefit for Muslims, communities.
Thank you. I'd now like to invite Councillor Abdul Amin, the Mayor of Swindon, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Heidi. And as Heidi said, so my name is Abdul Amin, and I am the current mayor of Swindon. And it's my great pleasure to welcome the mayor of London, Brother Sadiq Khan. And I just want to express everything Heidi has already said in reference to the earthquake in Turkey. My thoughts and our condolences goes out to all those affected. I am just going to say a few words about Swindon and the community of Swindon. And in recent posts, I think Imtiaz has made, it's quite known what we stand for in Swindon and the communities for Swindon. And I know he highlighted myself as well in his post. And Swindon is a great town in southwest of the country, and in Wiltshire it is the largest town. Swindon has a population of around 225,000 population, and 20% of that population comes from the minority communities. And I think in the last census about 7,000 of its population are from the Muslim community.
Thank you, Abdul. And so now, without any further delay, I'm going to introduce my friend, the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan.
Well, brothers and sisters, I begin with a greeting that's been used for thousands of years by billions of people. It's a greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Look, I say what a pleasure it is to be here with you. I've got to be frank and be honest with you. The reason I'm here is because my good friend Heidi Alexander, she's one of my best friends, is running to be the Member of Parliament for South Swindon. And she's also told me about the vibrant Muslim community here in Swindon, and I was keen to come along myself and meet with you. And just to be clear, when Heidi said this finishes at 6:30, she meant 6:30 Greenwich Mean Time, not Muslim time. But can I also say, we have a saying in London that you wait ages for one bus to come, and then two buses come at the same time. And the same thing with Muslim mayors. You wait ages for one to come, and then two come at the same time. But it's a pleasure to be here today. And can I particularly thank the elders who founded this Islamic Centre, the Al Habib Islamic Centre, and the other masjids and Islamic centres in Swindon. And it's really important that we express our thanks and gratitude to you, because you're following the example of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because when the Prophet Muhammad migrated from Makkah to Medina, he first, on the outskirts of Medina, founded the Mosque Quba, the very first masjid founded in the world. He then went on his camel, and he said, wherever the camel stops, I will set up the masjid in Medina al-Munawwar. And you'll remember the story. The camel stopped at a piece of land owned by the orphan twins, Sahal and Suhail. And when the camel stopped, he bought the piece of land from the twins and started building the first ever mosque in Medina. And that masjid wasn't just a mosque, it was a community centre, it was a school, it was a court of law. And what you're doing here in Swindon with the other things that women who are in a car are comparable to letterboxes. The jokes, they are bank robbers. And it's a fact that during the last 13 years, the government has been asked many times to bring the law to outlaw Islamophobia, and they have failed to do so. And it's a fact that many of our youngsters haven't got the opportunities to fulfill their potential. And it's a fact, one of the reasons why Honda factory closed down in Swindon was because of this government decision to leave the European Union. It's also a fact that our future is not as good as our past.
I think we have a few minutes for questions to Sadiq, if anyone would like to ask a question. I've also got a presentation that Mr. Imtiaz would like to make from a book that he has written recently. So perhaps we'll do that little presentation first, I'll get out of the way, and then you can all be thinking about the questions that you want to ask. So yeah, no, I've already spotted Refi, so I'm coming to Refi first.
Wait.
So, Reppy, I think you had your hand up first.
Just wait a second, wait for the mic.
Sorry, I think my dog's big enough, is it not?
Okay, come.
Quick question. It's really in relation to a couple of things that both you and Heidi said, which is actually quite positives around immigration, around second generations, our generations to come to do better, etc., etc. But as you're probably aware, day before yesterday, we had news about stripping citizenship of Shamima Begum. Now, whatever your thoughts are in relation to her criminal activity, that should be put aside. We're talking about citizenship. And what that demonstrated to me the other day was that there is two-tier citizenship in this country, making every single one of us in this room, whether we're Turkish, Bengali, Pakistani or whatever, second-class citizens. If our citizenship could be strict like that, it makes us second-class citizens. And I don't think that is correct. As a human rights lawyer, I expect better from Keir Starmer when he also agreed that the decision was right. Like I say, criminality is a separate point of view. Shamima Begum was born here. Shamima Begum was brought up here. Shamima Begum is a product of Prevent. Shamima Begum should be brought back here. Shamima Begum should be tried here. As a human rights lawyer, he should know that Shamima Begum is our problem. And the judiciary. What makes us unique? What makes England unique? What makes the UK unique? What is it? It's our democracy. It's the fact that the rule of law, segregation of powers, etc. But over the last 12 years that the Conservatives have been in power, we can see that that really hasn't happened. Everything has amalgamated into one blur. And Boris Johnson has had the right to be Islamophobic, you know? And this seems to be continuing. So actually, I feel like today, I genuinely feel like I'm not part of the British people. I am a second-class citizen, and I want to know, and I think I know my answer from what you guys have said quite passionately, that the Labour Party actually stands with us and is trying their best to make sure we as a Muslim community, whether we're whatever race we are, that we actually get our voices heard. But how will you be challenging that when you come into power? How will you be challenging that, and how will you ensure that our rights are secured, not just today, whilst you're in power, but forever and always? Like Uncle Habib said, we need laws to be able to protect ourselves and our identity as Muslims. So we need to be able to get behind the likes of MEND and so forth to say, actually, we won't stand for this. But also to say, citizenship is our right. I'm as British as you, Heidi, and I shouldn't be told otherwise.
Thank you, Reppy. I've seen another hand up over here. I thought I would take a number of questions together. Or perhaps I didn't see a hand up over here. There's two down at the front and one over there. I'll take one this side, the gentleman in the tie.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate and I heard you and your deep understanding about Islam. We, as a Muslim, by default, we always lean toward Labour Party. But this time, I'm a little bit struggling about the Kashmir policies, Palestine policies of Labour Party. I just really want you to explain a bit about so that we can explain our fellows when we go to a campaign, that they ask this question. Secondly is that democracy in Pakistan. We are in a democratic country at this point. In Pakistan, what is happening? The democracy is at stake. So what are your views on that, please? Thank you.
And then a question over here.
Okay, I'll ask you a question.
Sorry, there was a gentleman in the front.
Sorry, no, I thought
I think I was actually pointing at the gentleman in front of you. Sorry.
Very briefly, you did say that the next generation will be the one with the lower standard of living in 1,000 years than the previous one. But you do realize that the world is generally going into a difficult economic situation, I would say, from simple observation. So what can the Labour Party or yourself, Sadiq Saab, do to reverse all that one? Thank you. That's all.
Okay, I'll do the first three questions first, and all three have a theme. I'm going to be candid here, we're amongst friends. The choice of the next general election is not between perfection and the Labour Party. The choice is the Conservatives winning again, they've been winning since 2010, or the Labour Party. That's the choice. That's the choice. And so our experience over the last 13, 14 years surely tells us, frankly speaking, anything is better than the Conservatives, particularly when you're talking about issues of concern to the Muslim community. The Labour Party was passed the Human Rights Act that you talk about, not the Conservative Party, they voted against it. It was the Conservative government, Theresa May and Sajid Javid, actually, who passed the laws that you mentioned in your question. And so we mustn't allow the best to be the enemy of the good. And I've done care for almost 30 years, both of us, for human rights lawyers. He's one of the most decent politicians you will ever meet. And given the choice of Rishi Sunak, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, Theresa May, David Cameron, I'd choose Keir Starmer all day long. And that's why I think we've got to recognise the choice of their selection. And by the way, anybody who doesn't vote Labour, it's one less for the Tories to get to win. It's as simple as that. So, look, I understand the concerns in relation to the double standards of the government. I'm the person who stood in an election where my faith was used against me by the Tories and Zach Goldsmith. So, with respect, nobody needs to lecture me about Islamophobia in this society. Keir was by my side. Keir was by my side, as was Heidi. Heidi ran my campaign. That's the sort of person she is. Even though all this Islamophobia, the hassle, Heidi ran my campaign. And that's who you've got starting to be the enemy for South Swindon. And, Keir will be a Prime Minister that this country needs. He understands the importance of diversity. And by the way, I'm quite clear, Heidi's quite clear. Diversity is a strength and a weakness. We've got to make sure we're proud of our diversity we've not seen in 40 years. The NHS on its knees, education on its knees. Real problem with crime as well. And there's a reason you can get gloomy. But it's worth looking at history. During the Second World War, our country suffered even worse than we did now. And in fact, what does the history books tell us? There was a Labour government in 1945, Clement Attlee, who was the Prime Minister then, who transformed this country for the better. Who, by the way, invited people from Pakistan, it was India then, to come here and the Caribbean to rebuild this wonderful country. And so Pakistanis came to drive our buses, to work in our factories. Those from the West Indies came to, help in the rebuilding of our country. The Irish came, etc. And so we have, in the past, rebuilt our country after devastation of the pandemic, the Ukraine war, the government's bad policies. I think we can build a better future tomorrow if we have the right people in Parliament. Listen, I know Robert Buckland. And one of the reasons I'm here is I don't like him. And so it's business and pleasure. But you don't want the Bucklands and the Thomasons in Parliament. You want the Wills and the Heidis in Parliament. Who understand our communities, who come and listen to you, who come and engage with you, who understand what it's like to work hard to go to university, who understand what it's like to work to make sure we serve our communities. That's why I say, look, the next election is really, really important. But we only get highly well elected if we get people registered, if we get them photo ID, if we get them voting, but also highly well, don't just wait to turn up on the day to vote. Get involved now. The hard work is done now. These are the foundations for the elections. The council elections are in a couple of months' time, just over a couple of months' time. And then the real fight begins for the general election. But the election and the council are really important because they're great practice, we get the right council elected. Imagine if the council goes from Conservatives to Labour the first time in 20 years. What difference that would make as well in relation to understanding our community. So it's really important that we don't allow any imperfections or criticisms we have about Heidi or Will.
I'm actually going to close the questions there just because of the time, and I know that people will want to say hello personally and have the chance just to chat a little bit more informally before Sadiq leaves. I think one of my colleagues did want to say a few words. I don't know if it was just 2 minutes because we're a little bit pushed for time, or comment.
I think the points that we were going to make have been covered by the question of the floor. Human rights, all the issues, and it seems like you've got a very good understanding of those issues. Just to point out, Amin said that we are about 7,000 in Swindon. The last election in South Swindon was won by 6,625 votes. That's what Wolverhampton won. Today, I know people have to go, so the polls are getting a bit empty, but we are 7,000 strong, and we can make the difference. But we are at the point of when Swindon entered Medina. We are not at a point where we completed our mission. Our mission is to have a proper integrated community center here that delivers everything that we need, from elderly, the disabled, to the women that we are not actually thinking for the children. And to do that, we struggled quite a lot. If our words are there, and I can promise you that we have the power of making that change, if our words are there, we want an insurance that you will help us achieve our mission here. So you've already committed to international human rights, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for your question. It's really important we understand history, which all the progress that has been made over the last 60 years has been the Labour governments. I'm the guy who was chair of the first ever Islamic ethos primary school in Tooting. We've now got an Islamic ethos state-funded primary school in Tooting. We have masjids in Tooting and Barnum that do exactly the same. And that's because I was a councillor able to assist the community, and then I became a member of Parliament. But there are lots of very, very good, excellent councillors and MPs who are different faiths, different backgrounds. It's about values. Heidi's values are the same as our values. The difference is her values don't come from the Quran and the Sunnah, they come from different sources. But I'm telling you, her values are the same. And the issue is this: you will never, ever, ever, ever get anybody who gives you 100% what you want, 100% what you want. Never. What you want is open channels of communication with somebody who understands you, somebody who empathises you, and somebody who feels what you feel. This woman chose to come back to Swindon. Even though she had a very successful life in London, she loves this town. And I can speak as somebody who often, as somebody in the media attack line for my faith, doesn't usually have many allies and friends. Heidi's been with me in the trenches during my battles. And so I wouldn't be here if I didn't endorse Heidi 100%. Your wishes and aspirations, alhamdulillah, inshallah they will come true, because that community needs them.
We are another 4 million Muslims in the UK. We are 7,000. There's 6% nationally, we are 3%. So we're counting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone for your contributions, and I'm so eternally grateful for Sadiq coming and answering your questions and saying, it's slightly embarrassing because he said such lovely things about me, but I'm very, very grateful, and he's been a very good friend to me. We are going to close the formal part of the proceedings with a short prayer, and then Sadiq will be here for 10 or 15 minutes or so before he has to leave. So.
You are watching UK Star TV.